Come see this thing 1537, Messing with Massie, Russia Still Winning, Political History Matters. This is a series where I summarize rantatonne posts made up of at least three things I have read, seen, or heard. Question 1. What are the first principles of being American? In a reply to a Thomas Massie post mocking the establishment's attempt to look for simply anyone to run against him, just this phone book open, like this is people looking for someone to run against him. Someone who I think was at least on the right of the American political spectrum replied by saying, here's a list of bills that Thomas Massie has introduced and gotten passed in Congress, then just left 3 points blank. Ignore that this is true about the vast majority of the 325 members of the House of Representatives. But for some statists, they can't imagine that other people think it is actually good to not grow the state and its power. Massie isn't like someone like AOC who will run on all these grand plans that she'll do once she gets in there, and then when she gets in, she doesn't really do anything but engage in rhetoric and just bigging up her own persona and social status. Massie has a principled belief in reducing the size of government. As for the ongoing functions of the state, he wants to keep them to strictly what is constitutionally approved. If this individual took the time to understand this, then they would put a list of bills that Massie has opposed, and he would understand why people continue to vote for him to represent them. Next question, is this what whatever it takes looks like? Russia may have initially intended to have a quick strike into Ukraine and bring the regime to heel, preventing it from its flirting with NATO membership. An agreement had been reached in those early weeks that was thrown out after the Western puppeteers promised Zelensky that they would do whatever it took to support what they claimed was paradoxically a weak Russia arming itself with chips out of washing machines, and also an existential threat to invade the whole of Europe. Project Ukraine, that started at least in 2014 with the Globerati-ran Orange Revolution of the Maidan that cooled the democratically elected government, continued to be a thing. After that happened, Putin and Russia pivoted to an attrition warfare technique that Russia is well versed in, and the lava flow has continued steadily. I have noticed there's been a reduction in lies about what Russia can or cannot do in favor of highlighting key Ukrainian actions and going radio silent on anything based primarily on Russian actions. They don't even do things like Ukraine managed to shoot down X number of the Russian missiles and drones type of thing anywhere. Like, I bet you didn't hear just a few days ago, Russia engaged with this thing of like 500 missiles, bombs, and drones, which is the biggest operation it's undertaken since the start of its special military operation. And this isn't like once every like few months or anything. This is like a regular type thing that they do. Well, it's looking like Trump gets to have more USA military industrial complex contracts. Ukraine continues to be rebelized for future contracts to rebuild the place. But Russia also has its own military industrial complex that will continue getting contracts from internal and other allies as they see these more development of their military technology, and the more territory they take over, the more they'll have to rebuild and secure contracts for. Question number 3, who thinks about socialism and says it's good? Don't let people who claim a leaked tape from 2 decades ago shows how unfit Trump is for executive office and say political statements of belief and intent prepared for public dispersion that Zohan Mamdani made before his 2025 campaign have nothing to do with him almost certainly being a commie. And a reminder that if anyone claims that Mamdani isn't actually a communist, and they're saying he's just saying democratic socialist things, ask them, are they defending Mamdani because there is something bad about being a communist? When I criticize state actions and get the, are you just saying you want there to be no state accusation? I say exactly. I'm not doing some sort of, we just need a little collectivism here, and then those in power will somehow stop controlling others through violence before we get to full-blown communism sort of thing.